Let's now talk about what this exit planning process looks like in a little bit more detail. And as you can see from the slide that you're looking at right now, we have created a 7-step exit planning process. I would like to talk for a few minutes about what each of those steps entails, why we have them as a step in this exit planning process. And then we will talk about your role as an insurance and financial professional in each of those steps. So the first step is something you're very familiar with. What does your client want? What are the goals and objectives of the business owner? What are his or her wants? What are his or her needs? And again, there's some difference among those. But as I would recap, some of these goals are the 3 universal goals. When do I want to leave? Well, my Friday clients wanted to leave on Friday. And I have to say, the second estate planning client I ever dealt with, after Friday, about 6 months later, an old guy comes into my office. He was probably 55 years old at the time, so this was a long time ago. I thought he was old. And I asked him, I said, well, gosh, Harry, have you given any thought to leaving your business? Because I'd learned that that's something I should ask every single business owner. Have you given any thought to leaving your business? And Harry said, yes, I have given some thought to leaving my business. And so I'd learned from Friday that I'd better ask him when he wants to leave. Harry, when would you like to leave your business? And Harry said, I'm never going to leave my business. I love my business. And so here in my first 2 exit planning cases, one client wants to leave on Friday, one client never wants to leave. How is all of that related to exit planning? It's simply figuring out what they want to do. Even though Harry never wanted to leave, every step in exit planning, as you will see, is something that Harry needed to consider and do in order to make sure his business would continue to create value, be strong, have a continuity plan for when he did leave the business, maybe being carried out on the shield. So exit planning takes care of the client who wants to leave right away and somebody who really doesn't want to leave. But the first question is, when do I want to leave and what does that mean to me? I would say this as well. I don't care what the answer is. It doesn't make a difference for us what the answer is. It makes a big difference to the client. So the second question is, how much money do I want? How much money do I need to attain financial security and to have enough money for all my other wants when I leave my business? We will talk about that because that clearly is something a financial advisor or a financial planner needs to do. The third universal question then is, who do I want to transfer my business to? Do I want to transfer it to my children? Do I want to transfer it to a co-owner or perhaps a key employee? Do I want to sell it to a third party? Do perhaps I want to transfer it using an ESOP or some other technique? We need to have an idea of this. The classic situation is something like this. A client comes into you and says, gee, yes, I'd like to leave my business in 5 years. I'd like $500,000 a year net after tax for the rest of my life when I leave in 5 years. And I'm going to transfer it to my son who's in his 5th year of undergrad in sociology at the local university. Well, that's great. We have all these different objectives. Our role as an advisor is going to be to help that owner clarify and prioritize what it is the owner wants. This is something you do as a financial professional and as an insurance professional. It's really nothing new. It's just a different area, but the context is very similar. So that's the first step. The second step, as you can see on the chart, is to quantify the resources available to the business owner. Again, exit planning is about the business owner. It's not about the business. It's helping the owner exit the business. So what resources does the owner have that will allow him to leave the business when he wants and with the kind of money he wants to have and transfer it to the people he wants to transfer it to? So there's 2 resources. One is the financial resources that exist apart from the business, the personal investment income and governmental programs that that owner is going to have. That needs to be determined. What is that likely to be at the owner's retirement date? The second is the business. What is the cash flow of the business? What is the value of that business? So that business value is going to have to undergo a liquidity event of some kind. Taxes are going to be paid from that, and transaction costs, and the amount of money that is left over after that liquidity event needs to be enough money when combined with the investment income from the personal side to enable the owner to retire successfully. That's what exit planning is all about. As you can see, this involves you to a great extent. An attorney, a CPA, an M&A professional, a business broker is not going to be able to, or have the background to be able to easily determine this. They're going to need to work with you, even if what you're doing is just working as a financial professional or an insurance professional and not as the exit planning advisor. Your role is going to be really huge in this area. So once we know what the owner wants, and once we know what the owner has and what the gap may be that has to be closed, then we go through the rest of the exit planning process. And we can go through one step at a time, or we can have a comprehensive plan and go through all of the remaining 5 steps. But I'll recap very quickly what these other steps are. The third part deals with growing and protecting business value. How do I grow value? Because most owners are going to need to grow value. How do I protect the business value from creditors or from my own employees if they leave and take clients, for example? And how do I minimize taxes upon the transfer of the business? And there's a whole wealth of different planning tools and paths to go down in this area. This is something that may take a business owner years to fully develop because their value may be inadequate. So the fourth step deals with selling the business to an outside third party. The fifth step deals with transferring the business to an insider, child or co-owner or management team as part of an exit strategy, bearing in mind that those people don't have any money, so there's a lot of risk involved if we are not careful in how we design that. The sixth and seventh steps, then, you're going to be familiar with. One is business continuity, and the other one really is estate planning. From the perspective of exit planning, what role does business continuity really have? We're talking about the owner dying or becoming permanently disabled. Well, the relationship is at least this. When we look at the goals that the owner has, how much money do I want for the rest of my life? Who do I want to transfer the business to? When we look at step 2, the business value and the cash flow of the business, we have found it's really valuable for the planning advisors to recall with the owner what those goals and objectives and values were when looking at business continuity. Because most owners, if they die, want their family to have the income they wanted to have if they lived. Most owners, if they die, want the business to be transferred to the same people who would have received it had the owner lived. Most owners, if they die, would want their family to get the value from the business that we have determined exists under step 2. So there's this consistency of objectives and a consistency of outcomes, whether the owner lives or whether the owner dies. And the same holds true with estate planning. It's a continuum of all of the planning that we're going to be doing for this business owner throughout the rest of his business career to make sure always, if he dies too soon, that those goals and those objectives are met regardless of living or dying. And that really is the 7-step exit planning process.